All right, here is the adjustable hitch. It's not super neat and pretty, but it will work. Then I think what we're going to do, if I can get over here, is we're going to take this tongue. Is too long. Well, it's longer than what we need it to be, and it's quite a bit too tall off the ground. Garden tractor height is anywhere from like 6 inches off the ground to the top of the drawbar, 8 inches, maybe a little higher. And the one that it looks like we're going to get to borrow, at least at this point, is 6 inches off the ground. It's pretty low. And even with the adjustable hitch adjusted down to the next to the last hole, this is still way too high. So I think the plan is to figure out this angle here, transfer it to this and cut that angle, cut the tube off at that angle. Then we will flip it upside down, lower it under, and slide it back in so that the cut piece matches this angle. And then it can be welded along here, it can be plated if it needs to be, and it can be welded along there. And then where this is cut at an angle, we can put a flat plate on that and cut it, or might look at leaving it the way it is to mount other things. And then this will still probably get shortened even a little bit, even though it's going to get moved back. And then this is going to get spacers put inside and a 2-inch receiver type hole put into it, so that that piece over there that I just showed you can slide in and out and be removed. So I think that is the plan coming up next time I'm out here working on it. I've got some other pieces to fabricate, do some work on at the shop when I get some spare time. Haven't had any spare time, so it hasn't gotten done, but hopefully it will in the next couple of days, and then I'll get back out here and work on this. Also, I need to mow the yard, so you know how that is. All right, welcome back, guys. So did some work, got these brackets where they now bolt in. As I stated before, you loosen or remove the bolts, they come apart, they lock in underneath the lip, kind of like the J, they lock in underneath. Cut 16 spacers that need to go on, and probably stand up like that. We'll have a bolt across there welded to them. That is for the seats to actually lock onto. Those all need to be deburred, so we're going to do that. All right, got those cleaned up. Now I need to clean up the bars before we weld those. All right, here's what it's looking like so far. Looks like I can weld these on here, leave that bolt sticking out on both sides. That will take care of my issue. The parts will still be removable. So Today is Friday, August 23rd. I received another update on Teresa's condition. So she had tried the original chemotherapy through a port, made her real sick. They went with a different, is a pill, a chemotherapy pill. That didn't work very well either, and so they went with a weaker version, and it's just making her extremely sick. So the decision has been made to stop all chemotherapy treatments, and she is just going to try to enjoy the time she has left. So that makes this project even more vital that it gets done. So I need to get back to it. All right, let's try this. All right. After I welded everything, I had to take this seat back apart, or a part, because it had been dropped on the bottom and had bent the latches a little bit. Got them working though. So now it's you got to kind of work it around and get them to lock and everything. But they do lock and unlock, open. Right now, they seem a little flimsy and loose because, remember, none of this mesh is bolted down. It's literally just sitting on there. So I think once it's all bolted down, that will be pretty good, and I can make that work. So, one step closer. The mosquitoes are coming out, eating me alive. As soon as it gets nice enough, the temperature drops where it's nice enough to be out, them little suckers come out and start draining me. Anyway, so I'm probably going to put everything up and get some dinner. We'll hit it again tomorrow. All right, we're back out working on the project. Another day in the 90s. It's awesome. And I have laid out all kinds of bits and baubles. So I said from the beginning, this project had a purpose, but down the road, I wanted to use it for other things. Mainly because I'm getting older, my shoulders don't work like they used to, and I just can't lift what I used to. A lot of times I'm moving stuff by myself, so I want to be able to move stuff with this trailer around the yard, out at the farm, things like that. So one of the things that has been sleeping out in the garage is this post lift, and it's kind of an odd arrangement. It was missing parts, and so years ago I made this big post for it. So basically you set this up on top of here, and then this entire post spins on two bearings so that when you lift weight you can move it real easily. And I had intended on putting this on my utility trailer, but I never did, and there's a few reasons why. It's added weight, but also it's kind of odd in how it works or doesn't work actually. So it's basically like a normal engine hoist, cherry picker, whatever you want to call it. Has the adjustable arm, has the centerpiece that everything pivots on, has a hydraulic jack. But it also has this cable arrangement. And then you go back here and there's a chain sticking out. So the theory is you can take this chain and you can pull it, and that will move the cable and adjust your height over there. But there's some problems with this design. Number one, when you put the pins in place, you can no longer move the chain. It binds the chain up. There's some little things like right in there, they didn't cut the metal back far enough, and so the cable actually binds on the metal instead of rolling on the roller. So that's an issue. There's also a tab they've bent in that makes it hard to get the chain out if you want to take the chain out. So in theory, the chain exits the back and it drops down in this hole, and you can adjust the chain however you like, which in turn pulls the cable. But there's another problem. Since the chain comes out back here, it either has to go above or below the pivot pin. But regardless, it has to go up to get into this hole. So when you jack the arm up, the chain actually gets pinched in between here and here. And if you look, you can see the marks where the chain has been dug in pretty hard. So basically, in order to adjust the cable out any further than that, the chain starts interfering with all of the pins. If you raise it up, you can't adjust the chain. When it's up, you have to only adjust the chain when it's down. And it's just, the design is just a little screwy. The other thing is, when the chain binds up in here, up against this piece, you lose 2 inches of your travel on your jack. It's 18 inches between centers when it's fully extended, and you lose 2 of those inches. So the concept is admirable, but the execution leaves a lot to be desired. So what I've seen on on commercial rigs and stuff, what I've seen is a lift similar to this, but it has a winch mounted, basically right back here, right up here. We could do that. I've got this pulley right here. This could be mounted up on top of here. We could cut this down and it could go in there. We could fix this mess up here and cut it back, and the cable would put another roller right here, and the cable would just come down through here. We could do that. And that way, you could leave this arm off, mount just that post in here, and then you could use it as a winch to pull things back up on. So that's kind of promising. We have a few options. We have this, the old tried and true boat winch. But that's a nice little setup. I kind of hate to take that apart. That bolts right on with U-bolts or all thread or whatever. I kind of hate to take that one apart. And the problem with having a mechanical winch is, say you're trying to pull an old garden tractor or something up on the ramps, and the ramps are way out there. You gotta crank a little bit, go steer the steering, crank a little bit, go steer the steering. You know, it's a pain by yourself. So the next option is electric winch. Sorry, there's junk out here in the air that's just affecting my allergies. So ATV winch, you know, that's a pretty nice option. I got this one for free. I've never tried it. Don't even know if the motor works. So maybe we'll have to do that here in a minute. But the problem with an electric winch is you can't run it manually, and you have to have a battery. Now, you could, in theory, use the battery off the tow tractor. They're usually not very big unless you've got an old garden tractor that you've put a car battery in, but they're usually not very big. So you don't want to do a lot of winching with them. It's hard on them. And like I said, you can't use it manually. So yeah, you can have a remote switch. You can have a radio controlled or just a long pigtail remote switch. So those are kind of nice. Well, over here we have a hybrid. This is something I Frankensteined years ago when I had some free time and the weather was kind of crappy outside. So this is an old heavy-duty manual winch. You crank right here. And then I think I was given an electric winch that it wasn't made very well. The plates were sloppy and the bearings were popping out and everything. So I Frankensteined both of them together. So what you have here is a clutch. You can open the clutch. You can run it manually. You can take that arm off. The arm's around here somewhere. You just click it and it comes off. And then you can tighten this. You can run it electrically. So I don't know. You know, I got some options here. But the thing is, these are down the road. These are down the road on this project. I'm running out of time, and I need to get this thing in, you know, somewhat semblance of what the vision is for it. I need to get it as far as I can. So these can wait. But I need to fashion a mount for that, most likely, so that eventually it can be used. Since I've already got them laid out, though, let's check them out and see if they even work. All right, so we have the Wally World Special sending us voltage, hopefully. The old torture devices. Since this one's already wound in tight, we do not want to run it the normal direction. Hopefully, whoever wound this cable on here wound it so that it pulls in running normal direction. That being the case, I want to run it backwards. So we're going to hook positive to the black, negative to the red, just for a second, and see what it starts doing. Here we go. And that is the wrong direction. So somebody wound it up opposite of the normal way it rotates. Which that may be factory, I don't know. So it does work. That thing's been sitting here for years. I got it for free. Guy's house was being foreclosed on, and he said go over and just take anything you want left laying in the yard, and that just happened to be there. So that is a viable option. I will have to come up with some solenoids for it or whatever. I mean, I can run it this way, but I'd rather have some actual more positive control. Now let's try that one. I think I've ran it since I built it, but I don't remember. So it looks like both of those our possible options. And honestly, that one is, the ATV winch is kind of nice. It's got the fair lead rollers and everything on it. But if I was going to choose, it's probably going to be between one of these. This one can sit outside. I don't have to worry about it. It has its drawback, but it is simple and it works or it doesn't. This one has the best of both worlds. So I don't know. I'll decide on that later. I got to get back to the project. All right, I have everything laid out here as it would be without the chain binding up everything. And that is the max you're gonna get as far as extension. And the jack may not do it the way it's extended. I think that's 1,100 pound jack or something, but that one's old. But anyway, just for illustration purposes, that's like 45 inches, you know, maybe right about here from that end there is 45 inches. So however this mounts, you're only going to get 45 inches from the hook down to the frame, or down to this level here. So I'll have to take that into account when I figure out how to mount this thing. Well, I just looked. It's a little after 4 and the farm store closes at 5. So I can either go now and hope they have an oxygen bottle waiting for me, or I can risk it and go tomorrow. They open at 10 a.m. So I always think it's kind of interesting when you have an old tank just to see how long it's been in use. So if you look on these, they're pressure tested and then they're stamped. So right here we got 2017, 06, 96, 87, 74, 64, 59, 54, and February 1949. This thing has been in service since 1949. Makes you wonder what this thing has witnessed, and only if it could talk. Okay, we're hauling down the road, heading to town. Somebody might say, well, why don't you just call and make sure they have a tank? Well, the problem is the people that work at the counter change out all the time. And we used to call the tanks letters like K, M, N, and then they went to a different company and they started calling them, 250 and all this. And even though I get my tanks from this place all the time, or every so many years, it seems like every time we go, there's a new person that wasn't there before, and we just have to go and look in the little shed and go, oh yeah, there's one. So we'll just head to town and we'll see what happens. Anyway, this is pretty much what I see on my drive to town, to work, coming home. Only the weather changes. Why is it anytime you have to be somewhere, there's always that one person that wants to drive 45? And it's the universal speed limit for them. 45 through town, 45 out on the highway, 45 through the Walmart parking lot. Come on, people. Well, that brake caliper up there is definitely dragging because she just doesn't have the pep she usually does. So hopefully it doesn't get worse. It's not a long trip, but I don't like it when the rim gets hot enough that, you can't hardly touch it. That'll be a new video, once I get the parts in and get some time to actually put them in. Go, Granny, go, go. She goes clunk. So we gotta go around. We'll hit the roundabout. Don't you just love roundabouts? I know I sure do. They have one, because if not, this was just a unnecessary trip for dinner. All right, well, as I suspected, took a picture of the label that is exactly what was on it when I picked it up here a few years ago, and the girl looked at it and said, yeah, that label doesn't tell me anything. Just drive back there, we'll see if they have one, you can pick it up, and then they'll call us and tell us what size it is, and then you can come back up here and pay for it. Awesome inventory system, isn't it? Oh, shit. There we are. Turns out they just look at a chart that has a height dimension on it, and they go, yeah, that's a 250. Well, like everything else, a 250 costs about $11 more than it did last time. Granted, it's been a few years, but still, that's just to be expected, I guess. It's not to be liked, but it's to be expected. Oh, look, another roundabout. And they're putting more in. Because that's what every small town needs, is 7 roundabouts. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And the thing is, people don't understand how to use roundabouts. And these are single lane roundabouts, so they're not so bad. There's some others around here that are multiple lane, 2 lane, 3 lane roundabouts. All right, let's run inside real fast. You notice there's no clunky clunk, because yeah, that full cylinder is strapped down. We don't play with the full ones. And I just found out they ruined Taco Bell for us now too. They did a remodel, put in tiny little round bistro tables and these hard chairs that have hard corner edges on them, with benches that have hard corners. They don't even meet up correctly. You have to, now there's no menus displayed. You have to order from kiosks. And so you have to go in, you have to start your order, you have to search through all the categories to find out what you want. And then while you're trying to complete your order, it keeps trying to suggestive sell you stuff that you have to keep skipping through. Then you have to give it your name, and it wants an email, and then you have to select the kind of payment, and you know, it's just a pain in the ass. And there's a lot of people that won't put up with it. So it's getting hard to find places to go, and everything's getting more expensive. So I guess we'll be going through the drive-through, because if I have to do all their work for them, then I should get a discount. It's just like Walmart. I should get a discount. I tell you, I don't know why they can't leave stuff alone. Constantly messing with things and ruining it. Anyway, rant over for now. Time to head back home.